What's up, everybody? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. Sorry, it's been a while. I've just been collecting a lot of data, and I've been doing a lot of play testing so I can bring you guys some content. We did just recently have the Indie Regional. Congratulations to Chrisabella for bringing another victory home to PPG. Those guys they're just monsters right now, but we'll go over regionals in another video, but today I wanted to bring you a deck that I've been playtesting for quite a bit on Octagon. Now, in one of my previous videos, I gave you guys a Gotenks deck profile with the Gotenks leader. This deck is a little similar to that deck, but as you can see, I'm using the Cell leader. This deck is, I believe, much more competitive than the Gotenks deck is with the Gotenks leader. That leader is just a little lackluster right now. It is good, don't get me wrong, but just Cell's a lot better because it controls the game, and its auto abilities are not so much its auto abilities. Its active main abilities are just too crazy. So let's get right into it. We have our Cell leader, 10,000 power on the unawakened side. Its effect is once per turn during your main phase, you can place a card underneath him to destroy a 3-drop or less on your opponent's side of the board. Now, when you put the card underneath the Cell, you put it face down. You're allowed to do that so that your opponent doesn't really know what you're playing, or they can't gain an advantage seeing what you're placing underneath your leader. So you can place it face down. It's not a problem. So you put one card underneath him. He blows a card up on your opponent's side of the field, as long as it's 3 or less. Now you awaken at 4 life or less, draw 2 cards, and then we have the perfect form Cell on the other side. It's 15,000 power, and unlike most leaders in the game, it does not have the auto draw ability when it attacks. However, it has 2 active mains. The first one is active main, once per turn, place 1 card underneath your leader to draw 2 cards. So essentially that's your auto that you're replacing with the auto draw. So what he does is it corrects your hands. If there's a dead card in your hand, you can place it underneath, and you're plussing off it. Because you're drawing 2 cards, so you're replacing the card you just placed, and then you're drawing an extra card. So essentially it's the same thing as the attack and the auto draw. It just, this allows you to fix your hand for cards that you might not need or might not want to use at that point. And then the second main is once per turn, you can remove 2 cards from the bottom of this leader to destroy a battle card on your opponent's side of the field. There's no cost restriction. It can be any battle card, so it makes Cell his own board wipe, so to speak. Not so much of a board wipe, but an easy 1-for-1. If your opponent's putting multiple threats out per turn and you really can't deal with it with your battle cards, just pop it with Cell. Now, what I like to do with Cell is before I awaken him, I like to use the front side. So, for example, let's say your opponent brings you down to 4 life, they pass turn to you. So I draw for turn, charge my energy, and then I proceed with my turn. Instead of awakening right away, if they do have a card on their side of the field that you can pop, you can put one underneath the front side, destroy it, awaken, draw 2 cards, activate the back side by putting a card underneath and drawing 2 more cards. So you just drew 4 cards, and you automatically have 2 materials underneath your leader so that you can blow up another battle card. Now, there's going to be some situations where you really either can't do it or don't want to do it, but if you have the card to spare out of your hand, even if your opponent doesn't have a target or not, you still want to place something underneath it just so that when you awaken, there's something already ready to go on the other side. So it's a great leader. It's a green leader, which works really well with the build that I'm going to show you. Cell has always been my favorite villain in the entire series, so I'm glad that his cards are really good. So let's get right into the deck. We are running a tricolor deck. First card I'm going to show you is, of course, the 1-drop red Saiyan Kaba. This is your awakening card. This deck, even though it's using a red engine, is not really aggro. You kind of want to sit on your Kabas till at least turn 5 so you can guarantee your awakening, because your opponent will leave you purposely on 5 life so that you don't get the benefits of having the Cell, the awaken ability. So I kind of sit on Kaba a little bit towards the late game and kind of bring it out to force an awakening on my side of the board. But, Kaba is Kaba. You take a life, add it to your hand, you get 15k double strike. It's just a really good card. Any type of red engine or red deck should have a Kaba in it. That's just how good. He's a really good card. And then we have 2 Furthering Destruction Champa. This is another kind of aggro card that we're using. Normally, when you use an aggro deck, you're going to be running 4 Champas because you want to maintain that double strike. But in this deck, you kind of sit on it. This is more of like a control based deck where you kind of play defense until the late game, where you can grind your opponent down to like 3 life, and then from there you just kind of try to go in all in one turn and do 3 damage in one turn. But yeah, so we use the Champa to give us that double strike. It's also a 10k booster, so it does help. And your opponent doesn't really expect it. I mean, obviously they see that you're playing red, but once you see the other cards and the other engines, they're not going to expect a Champa. And you kind of want to pull this on late game. You don't want to burn it too early. So I only run 2. It's okay if we don't see it. It's rarely charged. It really normally doesn't come out till late game, so it's okay. But it is still a good card to run. And then, of course, we use the Mighty Mask because I am using a Gotenks engine, so to speak. Mighty Mask is so good. This is a tricolor deck, so Mighty Mask on his own can self-correct your energy. You can search multiple targets for your proper energy. And it's just a really good card. He's just too good. He's just too good. So with the Mighty Mask, as far as the red is concerned, I just play the 1 red Goten, Leap to the Future. He has dual function in this deck. You're rarely going to summon him to use him as an attacker, but if you need to, he's only a 3-drop and he's 15k, so it's not bad. For the most part, you're going to use him as your sustainable red energy because you only need one red energy in this deck to use your cards. And you can search it off of your Mighty Mask to help you correct what you're charging. But also it has the added effect of having its discard ability. So you can discard this card and one other card in your hand, and you can search a Gotenks from your deck with 25,000 or less power. So it helps facilitate some late game plays if you really, really need it to. This is the only way in the deck to search Gotenks. So it's not that bad of a card, but mainly we're using it as energy. So that's the red package, and then we're going to get into the blue package. To piggyback off the Mighty Mask, I run the 1 blue Goten. Again, same reason. You search it. It's your blue energy, so it helps you correct any deficiencies. But it's also a 5k combo, and it's a 15k 2-drop. So it's really not bad if you're trying to put pressure on your opponent with a 2-drop. It's not an expensive card to charge, or not to charge, so to speak, but it's not an expensive card to summon. It only requires 1 blue energy. You want this to be your blue energy in the deck, but if you don't see it early enough, or if you don't get that Mighty Mask playoff as consistently as you want it to, you might see it later on in the deck. But that's what we use for the blue energy. Then, of course, we have 4 of the energy-boosted Majin Buu. It's just a solid turn 1 play. Anything that replaces itself in this game is really good. If you don't have anything first turn, you just charge a blue, or you charge your Goten, you bring out the Majin Blue, listen to me. You bring out the Majin Buu and +1, or replace itself, so to speak, so it's not that bad of a card. It's normally a staple in blue. And then we have 4 Ultimate Judgment Jocko. This card is too freaking good. I've noticed that when you're playing a deck that's mid-rangey or more control, Jocko is much more beneficial than in a deck where you're playing aggro. So I'm normally a Trunks player, and I used to try to dabble with this Jocko in a Trunks deck, but it's kind of counterintuitive because you're not trying to play defense in that deck, you're just trying to aggro everything out and destroy your opponent. But in this deck, this Jocko is too good. Your opponent just attacks to try to swing for game. It works really well with those 10k combos that they come out in rest mode after you combo with them. This card is amazing. Essentially, it's similar to the boost attack or the energy boost Piccolo because your opponent's gonna be minusing and you're gonna be plussing 5k. So it's essentially doing a 10k swap. But Jocko is really good. I never summon him. Obviously, you don't need to, but it's really good for comboing. It's just a good card overall, and it can really troll your opponent in the late game when they're trying to make a push for game. And then we have Senzu Bean. Senzu Bean makes the world go round. It gives your card a permanent 5k boost, so it can save them for the turn, or you can save your leader from taking any damage. But obviously the main reason you run it is because it restands your energy. So it helps you, because you're running a tricolor deck, manipulate your energies and use the same energy multiple times. Like, for example, you're really charging 1 red energy to bring out your Kaba. Senzu Bean allows you to restand that red energy so you can bring out another Kaba by just tapping the same one instead of having to play 2 red energies. So it makes your deck more efficient, and it makes you be able to hold on to more cards in your hand for combo ability. Senzu Bean is just a really good card. Any deck that runs blue should run 4 Senzu Bean. I see people trickling with 3 or try to cut it down, but honestly 4 is the way to go. It's not an expensive card to cast, and it's really good. There's really no downside to running Senzu Bean. And then the last blue card I run is the 4 Whis Coercions. I have been seeing a lot of players lately side their negates. In theory, that's not bad. It just depends on what type of deck you're playing. If you're playing anything but aggro, you need to main this card. And the reason why is because you're not being aggressive. You're being more either control or mid-range. So there's going to be a game state, or there's going to be a point in the game where you need to play defense to protect yourself so you can get your threats out later in the game. And Whis Coercion is a really good card that does that. It's only 1 blue energy. You tap a blue and you untap an energy. So it's essentially free and it's a negate. And it works really well against the Vegeta decks with the crit. You know, if they're trying to push in for a crit, and they go into their leader to use the critical, and they do the Champa for the double strike critical, you just negate the attack. You know, if you're thinking that that's what's going to happen, you negate the attack. Obviously, you can't negate the attack once the combos have been put out, but that's why you have Jocko. Whis Coercion is a really good card. If you guys are playing an aggressive deck, I wouldn't recommend mainboarding it. Maybe side it, but if you're playing anything else, you definitely want to mainboard. I think 4, but I have seen people use 3, and it's been not bad. So it just depends on your build and your space. Whis Coercion is the best negate in the game. So that's the blue. And I did mention before this is a tri-colored deck, so we're going to get into the last color. And of course, you guys know it's green. So the last color is green. This is your super combo card now. That's what they're calling it. The Trunks Protector of Children. You know, 10k combo, draw a card after 4 or less life. The best part about it is that it can be searched off of Mighty Mask, and it can also be searched off of another card that I'm going to show you later. I was actually playing somebody on Octagon the other day, and I was going to go push for game, and I had a Kaba on board. I went to go push for double strike. They only had 2 life left. They negated. I was going to use my leader, and I had a Champa in hand, so I was going to use my leader. They negated that. So I had no energy tapped. I was still, untapped. And I was like, I had 2 of these in hand with a Champa, and I believe a Whis Coercion. So I was like, you know what do I have to lose? So I tapped 2 energy to bring him out as an attacker. I attacked my opponent. They didn't negate. And then I used the other one to make it 22k. Drew a card. I tapped an energy to make it double strike with Champa. So I was at 42k, and then I tapped another card to bring out another 10k, which I believe it was the Super Saiyan Gotenks. So I got this up to 42k double strike, and I ended up winning the game. My opponent was so mad, but hey, you got to win, right? Most of the time, that's not going to happen. In that situation, it was very rare. But this is your super combo. You want to keep them in your hand until 4 or less life, and try to always use them on defense unless you calculate mathematically that you're going to win that turn. So then you can go all out and use them for the pump because it's really good. So we have that, and then we have 4 Bundle of Curiosity Son Goku. It's essentially the same thing as Majin Buu. This deck turn 1 and turn 2 is a little slow. So if you want to facilitate your plays, correct your energy, stuff like that, you could play Buu first turn, draw a card, play Goku turn 2, draw a card, and you're kind of set up for turn 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. It's a really good card. It's a 5k combo, so it's not bad. It's good to have multiples of these in the deck because they can help facilitate your leader. There's going to be a point where you're not going to need to draw so many cards because you're going to be comboing with the super combo to draw a card, or you're going to be drawing your cards off of Cell. So you essentially don't need to play this card or the Buu just for 1 draw. When you're awakened, you can just put it underneath your leader to draw 2 cards. So essentially it does the same thing, but you save your energy. So it's good Cell fodder, but it's also good for early game. Then we have 4 Energy Power Gotenks. This card is nuts. Just being able to attack your opponent and then declaring their auto effect to discard a card from your opponent's hand is really good. It's a lot more devastating than people think, especially late game. This is always going to be a valid attacker late game because 15 is going to be even with your opponent's leader. So they're always going to have to combo to get over this. And if they're running low on hand and they're only like 2 or 3 cards in their hand, you use it to pitch one out, and then you can mathematically try to eliminate what they have, in their hand as far as combos using process of elimination. And it kind of solidifies your win. Also, worst case scenario, you can charge it, use it for sell, or it's just a 5k combo card. And technically, you can search it off of the red Goten, so it's not that bad of a card. Has a lot of synergy with the deck. And I'm running 2 Unified Spirit Sun Goten and 2 Unified Spirit Trunks. Now, the reason I have 2 and 2 is just I want to make sure that I have the proper ratio for a card that we're going to get to in a minute. But these cards are really good. The Goten is good because when it attacks, it looks at the top 7, and you can search a Youth Trunks, which includes the Unified Spirit Trunks and the Super Combo, so that's not bad. And then the Trunks is really good too. You know, when you attack, if you reveal a Goten in your hand, you get to destroy a cost of 3 or less on your opponent's side of the board. So it helps with that as far as like board clearing and stuff like that. It's a 5k combo. It's only 1 green energy to bring out. But then the active main for both of them is you can bounce them back to your hand. So you bring it out, you use their auto effects when you attack, and then you bring it back into your hand so you can use it on defense for combo ability, or you can use it for Gotenks fodder if you need to. I like that effect of being able to bounce it back to your hand. I think it's really good. These cards are really good, but I think 2 and 2 is the perfect number. Then I have 3 Super Saiyan Gotenks. This card is just nutty. Bringing it out for essentially 3 energy and drawing a card is just too good. 25k double strike on turn 5 is amazing. That's an amazing curve. Statistically, that's where you want to be. Like, that's the best number in the game. When you attack with 25, your opponent can't survive with just a super combo. So that's like the sweet spot when you combo or when you're attacking, is you want to get to at least 25, so your opponent has to burn a minimum of 2 cards to survive. So it's really good. It puts a lot of pressure, and the fact that it's double strike is really good. Can be searched off of the red Goten, but it's just a really good card because it stands your energy, so you're not really tapping out to play this card, and you always kind of want to leave a blue energy open so that you can use your negates and your beans. But it's just a really good card and puts a lot of late game pressure on your opponent. And then the last card is the new psyched up Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. Again, same thing. It's a really good card. If you have a Goten and Trunks in your hand with the same power, you can send them to the discard pile or send them to the drop area and bring this out for 4 energy. So it's essentially a 4 drop with 25k double strike. And when he comes out, as long as if you have a Goten in the drop, you draw 2 cards, and if you have a Trunks in the drop, you get to blow up a battle card. So he replaces the 2 cards that you used to bring him out with the fusion mechanic, and then he pops an opponent's battle card. It's a really good card. Again, you're not really negging yourself by playing this on turn 4 because it replaces those 2 cards. You're actually plussing 2 because you're putting a card on board, and you're blowing up your opponent's battle card, so you're plussing 2 off of it. Worst case scenario, if you need to tap out on turn 6 for it, I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you know that you're going to calculate game. But because I don't really like to tap out in this game, so I wouldn't do that. And it's just bringing it out on turn 4 or turn 5. Bringing it out on turn 5 is probably the essential play. You could technically bring it out on turn 4 and tap out for it, and it won't do so much damage. But after turn 5, tapping out is crazy. But yeah, you can bring him out. I also like the fact that he's a 5k combo card, so he doesn't cost any energy to combo with. So it's just a really good card. It's really versatile. It's just a really solid card, and it helps facilitate the deck and make your plays. You know, if you get one of these and one of these on board, it's essentially game. Unless your opponent has like all the negates and all the combo cards to get over it. But that's the deck that we're using. I mean, I guess this is a Gotenks deck with just a Cell leader, but yeah, I mean, Cell's just a really good leader. I mean, Cell was probably the best deck in the format a couple months ago, especially during the first regional, before the draft box came out. So, I mean, the Cell chain is really good. I obviously don't run the Cell chain in this deck because I don't use any of that, but the leader itself, you know, being able to control the board is just really, really good. So, I hope you guys like the deck. Try it out. It's really fun. It's really, really super consistent. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell to get notifications when I drop my next video. I know this video went a little long. I do apologize for that. But I wanted to explain the cards that I use and why I use them. So don't forget to thumbs up if you liked the video. And we'll see you guys next time.